In this video, I'm going to show you how to get a small data set into the TI-30 and to find some basic statistics. So I have this list of 6 numbers and I want to get the sample size, which is pretty straightforward. It's 6. I have 6 values. The sample mean, the sample standard deviation, and the population standard deviation. This notation here is the small Greek letter sigma, and that is used for population standard deviation. Alright, to get the data set into the TI-30, you want to use your second key and the stat key first. So turning the calculator on and pressing second and then this data button, but it will, using the second function, I'm going to get the stat menu. And I want one variable, so press enter here. And then press data again. Okay, so I've already put in the data set, but here you'll see this x sub 1, that's the first value, and the first value was 75, so you type in 75 and then use your down arrow key, and this is the frequency. You can change this if you want, for example, if 75 was repeated, but in this data set every value occurs once, so I'm just going to down arrow past that. Then you put in your second value, and then its frequency. Again, I'm leaving these all 1, and so on. So after you input each x value, you press enter, down arrow past the frequency, and keep doing that until you're done. Okay, so after you've entered in the data set, we want to press the stat var button right next to the clear button, and you'll see some basic statistics across the top. Here's the sample size. It's a little hard to see, but this is an x bar, the sample mean. This S sub x is the sample standard deviation. The sigma sub x is the population standard deviation. And you'll see that as I arrow through, it's going to give me each of those values. So n is underscored. I have 6 values in my data set. Moving over, the sample mean is rounding to 2 decimal places, 80.67. Here is the sample standard deviation. Here is the population standard deviation. Here is the sum of all of the x values. So if I took 484 and divided by 6, I would get the sample mean. And then if we had squared the values first, then added them up, this would be sigma of x squared. Okay, so we don't need this to calculate the sample mean, but there is a shortcut version to find the sample standard deviation, and this is a piece of it, so that might be helpful for some of you. But I'm going to ignore this piece. Alright, so going back to the sample standard deviation, for example, if I wanted to find the sample variance, all I would have to do is take this value, 9.6264, or however places you would round, and raise that to the second power, because the variance is just the standard deviation squared. So to find the sample variance, I would just take that value 9.6264 and square it. So the calculator does not output variance, but you could find it very easily.